past week, we all celebrated a holiday that we just take for granted, which was Thanksgiving. We get together, we invite family over, we catch up on the past year, what we went through, and then we sit down and have a great meal. In my mind, I think this is a lost art, a cornerstone of America that we've lost. We don't have family dinners anymore. So today I want to urge you to reconsider possibly having more family dinners with your respective families and enjoying quiet time, free of distractions, just good old-fashioned conversation and food. Today I will go over the benefits of having family dinner and certain ways you can implement them, whether it's preparing or just taking out a day or two out of your week. First of all, according to a report by the National Center on Addiction and Substance Abuse of Columbia University, children who eat at least 5 times a week with their families are at lower risk of developing poor eating habits, weight problems, or alcohol and substance dependencies, and tend to perform better academically than their peers who eat alone or away from home. This makes all the sense in the world. When you sit down with your family, you discuss the events of the day. You go over how school was, how work went. Basically, you put all of any grievances, stress, or tensions out there. And there's just natural therapy in that. You talk to your family, you end up resolving issues. If you have anything you need to air out, you go ahead and put it out there, because they say the best therapy is just to talk about it, because if you kind of internalize it and don't talk about it, you're probably more likely to turn to alternative methods of therapy, which aren't necessarily positive. Another benefit of eating at home is basically you're able to control the portions you eat. When we eat out, drive through, or we go out to a restaurant, we get to use the same portions, which sometimes feel good until you hit that food coma and you're like, oh, what did I just do? I can't function anymore. And at the average restaurant, there's 60% more calories than the equivalent food at home if you were cooking it yourself. So there's a natural benefit of that. It's just naturally healthier. There's conversation. Like I said, you get to speak to your family, and a study also showed that from BYU that a family meal reduces stress and tension from long hours of work, especially for women. It wasn't so evident in men, but I think it factors in that women have to get off work, go get the kids, and then prepare a meal. So for them at least, it seemed like it was a great stress reliever just to sit down and have that 1 hour meal with their families. It builds a better relationship and prevents serious problems. Studies have shown that kids are more likely to not be depressed, not have to get any types of any types of medications, just because they're able to speak to their families about who they like at school, who are they dating, who are they thinking about dating, why there's someone at school that's picking on them, and then from there, parents can recommend alternatives rather than medicine or, suicide in some cases, which isn't always positive, or never is. Great solutions to do this basically are, my favorite thing when I was growing up, I grew up in an Italian family, so we spent pretty much all the time in the kitchen, whether it's talking, yelling, or eating. We set 3 days out of the week at least, we had to have dinner together, whether we had after school activities, we had work or anything. These 3 days were ironclad. We had to have dinner together. So that's an easy way to do it. Sit down with your family, say Sunday or Wednesday. These are the days we're going to have dinner together. Start with baby steps. Keep it simple and fun. It doesn't have to be an all-out festival. You don't have to have a feast or anything. You can just say, someone have fun with the pasta, someone make the sauce, someone start the salad, someone chop it up. And in doing that, it builds a camaraderie in a family that just, like I said, it's a natural therapy. You get to know one another better. Today we're distracted by our cell phones, our iPads, our TVs. I'm guilty of that. I'm quick to rush to my phone to see a sports update, or maybe a girl that texted me back that I'm interested in. So it's just always in the back of your mind, and having that distraction sometimes gets in the way of building communication relationship with your family, which in turn translates into the workplace, with your friends, and other relationships. Another solution you can do is utilize a crock pot. Crock pots are awesome. You can throw any ingredient in it, throw it into, or turn it on, plug it in, and go to work. Come back, and a beautiful meal is ready for you, and it's healthier. It's delicious too. So by doing that, you can also save a lot of money. The average person saves family household spends $3,500 eating out, and that only accounts for 30% of their meals. So by reducing that, cooking more at home, you can save a bit of money as well. So by seeing all these new benefits, by seeing what can be done to just build a strong relationship with your family that can translate to work, better social skills, and a healthier lifestyle, I urge you to consider having more family dinners. Thank you.
Cynthia, you were going to share your point of view on this, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I thought you did a really good job. You had personal experiences of how you cook with your family or were always in the kitchen. You related to our everyday life, like say that we're always on our cell phones and everything, so if you kind of involve the audience as well. Your examples and evidence was good. How it helps your family and prevents children from getting off track, eating healthier and stress and communication. They're all good elements that could help us in our family, and I thought those points were really good, and it made your speech stronger, and I thought you should have just added a little bit more movement maybe, and everything else I think you were good, you were confident, and I think you did a good job. It's really good.
All right. I like the reference to the recent holidays and attention device. I thought that worked pretty well. Your goal is set up very clearly. The language on your two supporting points in the preview needs to be a little bit more thought out. It felt a little bit awkward, almost mechanical in nature as you're going through it, and I think it needs to be a little bit more naturalistic. When you got to the first point, you had a piece of data about some of the benefits there, but you sort of rushed through that. Yes, Gesundheit. It felt like you kind of rushed over that, and then you came back and you're talking about it again. So it's almost like it's a preview of the material after your preview, only it's in the form of evidence rather than in a structure that you've set up. And I also got the impression that you were going over some of the same points a couple of times. For instance, early on there's this whole discussion about what the emotional benefits would be of being able to talk to people, and you kind of give this whole discussion about complaining about your problems or asking for assistance, all those sorts of things. And then that issue comes up later on, and there's a little bit more information on it, and I just couldn't quite figure out why those things were separated from each other. That seemed a little awkward to me. And I'm not sure if it was supposed to be a separate point, but it really fits better together, or if it was just that information was out of place. But both of them suggest a little bit of organizational difficulty. The other point, with the food consumption and it being healthier based on caloric intake and all those kinds of things, I thought that there was some okay information on this. You had a statistic that talked about 60% more at the restaurants than you would be eating at home, and I wondered where that came from. So I'm sure that there's a source for that information, but it wasn't really cited in the presentation, whereas in the other 2 or 3 pieces of information, you did tend to give us a little bit of a source citation, although again I think it could be stronger. On the delivery issues, everything I think is very good. I think you have a good voice, that there's a lot of variety and energy, and you've got a sense of humor that is being conveyed with your voice pretty effectively. It did sometimes feel a little bit like you were rushing, and I think you could probably pace yourself a little bit more effectively. On the persuasive emotional appeals, I did like the personal references and the visualizations that you had in the speech. I thought that helped quite a bit. It needs a little bit more content in the speech. You know, I think I got 60% of the calories that I needed. I needed another 40% to make it work completely. But you're on the right track there. All right. Thank you.